Hello, I'm Lacey from the Goodstown Community Library, and today we are here to do a craft. Some of you might remember me from story time, and some of you might remember me from art cats. So hopefully we'll be able to do some more crafts again. Today we're going to be making a tissue paper craft, and we'll be making a letter, or you can make another shape if you want. So you'll need a few things. So let me show you what you'll need. You will need some scissors, a pencil. You'll need some glue. You can use a glue stick or you can use regular school glue. You'll need a piece of cardboard or cardstock, or even if you just have a piece of construction paper, that will work too. And you'll need tissue paper. And it doesn't need to be nice tissue paper, so it doesn't need to be nice and folded or anything. It can be scraps. So this is a nice way to use all of your tissue paper scraps if you have any, or if you have any that's all crinkled up that you've already used for gifts or something like that. It's a good way to recycle things. So I'm only going, as you can see, I have a lot of blue colors, so I'm only going to use different shades of blue. You can use any colors that you want. You can make yours rainbow colored. You can use all one color. You can do whatever you like. So first we're going to start by making our shape. So if you want to make the first letter of your name, you can do that. If you want to make a heart for Library Lovers Month or for Valentine's, or if you want to make a shamrock for St. Patrick's Day coming up, you can make a shape. For now, I'm going to make the letter L, since that is the first letter of my name, and that's a simple letter to make. You also could just make a rainbow if you wanted to, and you could just cut out a rectangle to make that, or a circle, and you can and hang it up. So there's lots of things you could do. So what we're going to do is, if you want, you can put the letter on a piece of paper and cut it out and then trace it onto your cardboard, or you can print it out. I am just going to freehand it, since it's a pretty easy letter to trace. And if I'm going to hang this on the wall, I would probably make it pretty big, but for today, I'm only going to make it small so that you can see what I'm doing and it won't take too long. So what we're going to do is draw on our cardboard our letter shape. So here's the top part of my L, and we're just going to go down like this and down here, and we're, like I said, going to make a very small one just so you can see what I'm doing. Normally I would use this whole thing here if you wanted to make a big one. Now if you want, even at the craft store, at the dollar store, they have big cardboard letters that you can buy if you don't want to cut one out yourself. Now make sure before you use any scissors, you ask a parent or guardian, and you're not and it might be kind of tricky to cut through cardboard, so you might not be able to use small scissors. If you have thicker cardboard, you might have to use bigger scissors, and you might have to have an adult help you. Alright, so we're cutting the cardboard like this, and I am going to switch to my big scissors. So like I said, if you're just using paper and you're allowed to use scissors, then you can do that, but make sure you are allowed to use scissors. And we're going to cut that piece off. if you have an adult help you, you can also use, they could use a knife to cut through the cardboard as well. And there we go. We have our letter. And if you have any pencil marks left on there, that is okay because it's going to get covered up. And you'll want to have some tissue paper shapes cut out. You can make circles if you want. You can make rectangles or squares. You can make some shapes that are even fancy shapes. So if you want, you can make some flower shapes like this. So you would cut out a circle. And then it's a very rough, it doesn't need to be perfect either, these shapes, because you're not going to see them. So you can cut out kind of petal shapes like a flower and make it rounded, and you'll see why. So you can cut out different shapes like this. You'll want them to be kind of smaller, and you can test how big it's going to be, how big it's going to stick out by doing that. If you want, you can just crinkle it with your hands, but the way that I like to do it, I will show you, is I use a pencil. So I like to use the eraser side. You can use the other side if you want. If it's sharpened, you'll want to be careful. Now, sometimes I will use the sharpened side of the pencil if you want it to have a finer tip. So what you'll do is put the tissue paper down, put the pencil in the middle, the pencil tip or the eraser. And if you're using the eraser, you will fold it over like that, and you'll take your glue, and this if you're using a glue, if you are using if you're using school glue, I would put the glue straight onto the cardboard. You could do that with this as well. I also like to put some right on tissue paper so it sticks a little more. And you can use the eraser to stick it right on the corner here. Now if you see, it sticks out more with the eraser. If you use the pencil tip, you can put it straight into the, you can use more than one to make it thicker as well. Or you can use one. It just depends. You can do whatever you want. And you're going to push, so if you're using just the pencil tip, be very careful. I don't have any pencil lead poking out. You'll kind of roll it around the tip here. And for this, you will have to put the glue straight on the cardboard and gently push it on. And as you see, it will make the tip pointier at the bottom. And you can do different ways. If you want, you don't even need to use a pencil. You can crinkle up the tissue paper and take some glue, and you can do it that way. So you can fill up your entire letter like that. Now we're going to use some bigger pieces so I can show you how to fill it up. So I'll show you what this one looks like here. And we're going to use our pencil, and it will almost look like a flower petal. Roll it in the glue. And what you'll want to do when you put the other pieces on is go very close to the other pieces of tissue paper so they get crunched together. as you can see, you can kind of unfold it here, and it will look a little bit like a flower. And if it's too big and sticking out and you don't like it, you can always trim it a little bit, like that. So what you'll want to do is keep going. Take your pencil or your fingers and dab it in the glue, stick it on, and keep going all over your entire, and I don't want that red side, so we're going to flip it back over and use the blue side. You can also just scrunch the bottom with your finger and put some glue on it. So you don't need to use a pencil if you don't want to, if it's easier for you. Sometimes you can use your finger and then just push it on with a pencil. So you'll fill out the entire letter with tissue paper. And I have some other shades of blue that I'm going to add in. And like I said, you don't need to have it cut in perfect squares or circles, so if you want to tear it, you can as well. So if you aren't even allowed to use scissors yet, you can just tear the tissue paper. And if you want to make it look even better, and if you don't have any colored tissue paper, you only have white tissue paper, you can add to your activity and you can paint on the tissue paper like this. So you can make it any color you want. So I'm going to cut this up here. And to make it go faster, I'm just going to use, my hands there. And if you want, you can just cover a big section of the cardboard with glue, and then you don't need to worry about picking up the glue stick again and again. You can just tear, scrunch, and stick it on. And there are some fun things that you can do with these letters or with your shapes. You can make decorations for a birthday party. You can hang them on your wall as a decoration. You can give them as a gift. Also for parents, it's a good way for learning letters. If you wanted to just cut out a piece, cut these out on paper, you could do that. And they could do a letter a week or a letter a day. And it's just a quick, easy craft if you didn't want to do the cardboard. And you could also, if you wanted a more permanent one, you could use hot glue. And I would definitely ask permission before you use a hot glue gun. And you can use things other than tissue paper if you wanted it to have a different texture. Alright, so the reason why you want to, another reason why you'll want to use the pencil is your fingers might get sticky. So using the eraser makes it so your fingers don't stick to that tissue paper. So we're just going to scrunch these in layer them around, and it is nice to have different colors if you want. If you want all one color, you can do that as well. I won't make you watch me do the whole thing, so we will fast forward. So if you see this one here, the one I did that was like a flower petal, if you cut them all out round and make the edges round, they won't stick out like that quite as much. Like I said, if you wanted to go and trim them afterwards, you can do that. And we love when you show us your artwork. So if you decide to do this craft at home, send us a picture. Or if you do come to the library, bring it in and show us. Some other things that you can use if you have any leftover crepe paper. You might have some of this from a birthday party that you've already used, and you don't want to throw it away. You could use that as well, and this has a texture to it. So this is fun to use. You can put that on there. You might also have some wrapping paper left over that you could use. So it's just a way to recycle things as well. So you can cut out a circle, or sometimes you can get tissue paper that's already in circles. So let's roll it around like this. And I will put it down down here so you can see it better. As you can see, it looks a little bit more like a flower petal. So if you wanted to cut them all out in a round shape, it makes it look more like a little bit more like a rose. So if you want it to look a little more trimmed, you can do that. And let me show you what a rectangle or a square looks like. And this is a bigger one. So we've been doing pretty small ones. If you do a big one, it will stick out a lot further. But you won't have to do as many. There you go. So that's the difference. There's a circle. And there's a square or a rectangle. Now I'm going to trim that one down a little bit. And if you want, you can stick these all on and you can trim it at the end. So that way it's almost like giving it a haircut. If you wanted to do all of the letters of your name, you could do that. You could do each letter a different color. You could do all of the letters the same color. You could make your name rainbow colored if you have a long enough name. And if there are any holidays coming up, like I said, you can make a heart for Valentine's Day. You can make a shamrock or a four-leaf clover for for St. Patrick's Day. You can make an egg for Easter or a bunny shape. So just make sure you don't see any cardboard underneath. So there we have some cardboard on the edges here. So just go around the edges on the outside and cover those up. Now, if you don't want to be so perfect, you could use the same color background. So if you wanted to use a blue or whatever color tissue paper you're using, color piece of construction paper or cardstock, you could do that. And if you're using school glue or the liquid glue, you can put dots of it on your cardboard, or you can put a dot of it on a paper plate and dab it right on the plate, if that is easier. If you don't want the edges sticking out so that you can see your letter, you can trim the edges. And like I said, if you're not allowed to use scissors, or you might need help with this part, it's a little tricky for you. I will show you at this angle so you can see. It's like trimming the grass almost. Right. Cut that off. There you go. And then you have your tissue paper shape or letter. And you might keep finding little bits that you need to trim. Now, you could even, since it's Library Lovers Month, you could even do this with some book pages. Now, don't do this with a book that is ready to read and a nice book. You could do this with an old book that, you know, you can't really read anymore, but some old pages of a magazine or something like that. That might look kind of neat. You could see some of the letters. So, let's make sure we put this back on. So that is our craft for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And if you have any questions, let us know. And we will try to provide some of the materials for the craft for you. And thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.